Hey there. Good afternoon. This is Bev of the Bev D Show. I am pretty fired up about a couple of things and wanted to hop on here and just kind of talks out through the universe. You know, I've got listeners all over the world. You never know. You never know who you might reach, or it might make a difference in their life. Today I'm looking for consideration on we just have to do better. No secret, big old election going on in the United States of America. And during an election, or when you were in high school and somebody was running for class president or treasurer, or moving on when you're a parent and you're in the PTA and you run for vice president or, president of the PTA, they call that an election. And an election is where people vote and they cast what is called their ballot. And I'm pretty fired up here today, and here's why. It isn't so much that, first of all, we thought we were voting on two candidates and obviously the other offices that are on the ballot. But what it ended up being is the definition of what some of the policies and the issues that, just for sake of saying it, I'll call them Democrats, and sometimes I'll call them the left. I have had way too much time to research, as I am, I've had some free time to be able to do so. So it might be the first time in my life that I ever called Democrats the left. And of course we have Republicans, and so we have conservatives, and we have radical, and we got all of these different kinds of things. It's just like this big, like there's supposed to be egg and oil and cake mix that goes into baking a cake, and it's real simple, and there's a few ingredients. But something happened to this cake to where there's all these other different kinds of ingredients and things that are just being thrown into this big mixing bowl, and it is not coming out right. And so, I grew up, in a family where freedom and rights and democracy was huge. You didn't get to do just anything you wanted in our house. You had to have a level of respect for my parents and one another. And I'm the youngest of 7. It's no secret that when you are the youngest of 7, you're going to get picked on. Usually when you're the youngest, but everybody says you were babied and that kind of thing. And I promise you that I am going somewhere with this. So, level of respect, growing up in a household, elections, different kinds that are all over that we can be a part of. And I just want to ask people, if your kid was running for an election and they were running for class president, and you had even the slightest, or a team of parents thought there's something funny not going on here, there's something weird, it doesn't seem right that so-and-so won, whatever, wouldn't you want to get to the bottom of that? And so that at least you could teach your kid about fair election. I mean, otherwise, why the hell even have one? If nobody's going to be accountable, if no one is, if everything is just going to be this way and that way, and we just all have to believe everything's fine. Everything is just fine. You guys are just sore losers, and your kid is just a sore loser. Well, no, there's a process to that. There's an electoral process. Otherwise, why don't they just say, hey, Bobby Smith is going to be the next class president. instead of getting them involved and showing them the process and getting people involved and supporting the candidate and such. So here's my point. I don't care what side you're on. I don't care where you stand in this. But for people to be saying things like, oh, they found 2,600 votes in Georgia, and people are like, well, that's not enough to turn over the election. And then they found all these problems in Michigan. And they're like, well, even if they did, it's not going to be enough to overturn the election. And I'm reading these comments, and I am absolutely losing my mind. I don't care if they found 10 votes that suddenly showed up somewhere. Those 10 votes, if legal, that might have been people standing in the rain. That might have been people standing in the snow, in the freezing, just so they could cast their vote. It blows my mind. And I'm seeing these comments on social media that are from people I kind of used to respect their opinion and what they were saying. And let me tell you, the level of respect that is lost over comments like that, you know, everybody's saying, well, if it was the other side, it would be this way and this way and this way. You're absolutely right. Nobody wants things to not be fair and on the up and up. We are the nation that every other country across the globe is watching. And instead, we have all of this turmoil going on. We have people accepting that they made it into office, you know, planning their transition, and all of these kinds of things are going on. We look stupid. I mean, we look stupid to these other countries. They're laughing. They're, oh, the United States of America and their democratic process and their voting and all of these things that we have come to be so proud of. And that if you did cheat, you got in trouble. And if you did try and get away with something, you used to get in trouble for it. If you created arson and you burned down businesses, you used to get in trouble for that. There used to be a thing called assault. And that if you did this to another person, you got in trouble for it. I was looking in a phone book. I remember when I was a little girl and I used to play make-believe, and I would read the phone book. I would look at how it was laid out. I was fascinated at all of these numbers and businesses and all these people you could reach and call by using the phone, communicate to whomever. And in the front of that phone book was a claim that it was unlawful to use profanity over the phone. Can you imagine that we had that level of respect for one another, that we couldn't even cuss on a telephone wire? And now we have people just running around, spitting in cops' faces, pushing them down, blowing smoke at them, and they keep making believe that, oh, we got this big fat virus, and oh my gosh, and got to wear a mask and social distance, and then they get to just go right up in the cop's face, spit, and they're not getting arrested? And the cop has to stand there and take that? We have got to do better. There has to be a level of somewhere somebody has to get back to it and say, that isn't right. That's not okay. Even if I do understand why you're to protest, even if I do understand why you're protesting, even if I do get it, you don't get to do that because your message is lost in the saliva that connected with the cop's face, the brick that hit him in the head. the innocent men and women that are getting abused. We have to do better. We have to say, that is not okay. I don't care what side you're on. You do not get to do that. Otherwise, what the hell? Why even have police or courts or jail? We're just letting people back out of jail to get thrown in there anyway. What? Have we lost our minds? It's not okay. We have to do better. You know, I'm so surprised at the people that I know or thought I knew. Let me reframe that. I will lose friends over this if they hear this. But people that I thought were my friends, that suddenly this has become okay. That, well, they had a reason for that. I don't care how mad I am at somebody. I don't have the right to spit in their face. But you know what? That's because that's the way I was raised. I would never in my wildest dreams do something so stupid as to spit in someone's face, or to have the audacity to think that this brick in my hand belongs in the back of that person's head and I am justifiably right to do so. I'd never think that way. The problem is there's always going to be bad people. Always. And we know that. But the people that aren't saying, hey, I know why you're out there and you're protesting or you're pissed off. But for that group of people, for somebody not to reel them in and say, but you can't do that, absolutely makes me crazy. Not one person on the left from any research that I've done has said, wow, let alone what happened all freaking summer. Not one has said anything about, oh my gosh, those Trump, rally protesters that were doing this on Saturday, they weren't doing anything wrong other than voicing their opinion, which is what we're allowed to do. And I've been screamed at, yelled at, and everything else in my life saying, these are peaceful protests that are going on all summer while they burn down buildings. The Trump folks really were out there kind of walking around with flags and singing songs. And what the left did is waited until there were stragglers, weak, W-E-A-K people, walking and preyed on them. Beat them up, pushed them off of bicycles. I didn't see like them going after big, gruff men. I saw them push an old man down. I saw them kick a silver-haired guy in the head after he was down. He was bleeding. Where does that get you? We've got to do better. Somebody from that arena, from the left, has to condemn that. And they're not. They haven't, and they don't care. Now, what blows my mind is that people that I knew, loved, and respected actually voted for that leadership that doesn't care. They do not care about these human beings in the street. Then they come out and they say, as they pretend that we have a president-elect, and they say, oh, we want unity. I was in the grocery store yesterday. I saw it's on the cover of one of the magazines, let's unify as a country. If you keep putting down people who are on the right, conservatives, beating them up for these millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of people, that also, so you got the country divided in half. Let's just say it's split. which I don't believe it is, I pray that there are less people that want the violence in the street